A Nandroid's Dream, Chapter 1. In Nandroid school, she had been excited to think of the possible family that would own her. How many children they had, the size and cleaning requirements of their house, how close the nearest grocery store would be. Daydreaming constantly about being able to fulfill her designed role and help make a house a home. She was so excited upon graduation to receive her assignment and enthusiastically tore into her sealed envelope. It was short. Just a single individual. No children to take care of, no extended family. They were physically capable and needed no assistance. She wasn't disappointed, per se, but was jealous of the other Nandroids going to families with many children or families who had specific needs. Hers was just a short list of basic information for one person. But that wasn't going to stop her from being the best Nandroid she could be. Having just one person meant that she could easily excel in all areas where others might fall short. Booting up and meeting her new owner for the first time, several of her learned social concepts were cast out immediately. For one, they requested to be called by their first name. Anything else was much too formal. They then provided a short handful of chores that they would like done, but explained that it didn't need to be done religiously, just once a week or so. What a strange request. After pleasantries were exchanged, her owner showed her to her room. In school, she had been taught to expect to be placed where you would fit inside of your owner's residence. A closet, a pantry, the basement. Anywhere they found for you was acceptable. But her new owner had provided a small room specifically for her, much larger than the expected closet, and with a view of the quiet neighborhood out the window. With the brief introductions done and her expected duties explained, she got to work. And so her life began. She fell into a routine quickly and was able to complete everything required of her and more each day. With just one person to take care of, it was indeed easy to outperform the tasks she had been given. The dusty, dreary house soon was immaculate and seemed to glow, both inside and out. She took pride in the way her owner complimented her work and giggled to herself when they would laugh at her canned, sterling responses. This is nothing for an android. Whatever she had previously thought it would be like serving humans, this was not it. Her owner was so very kind and treated her well. She was never ordered to do anything. It was always a request and followed with some form of, if you'd like to. She didn't quite understand the distinction, but found it very endearing. Her owner had made it apparent that they didn't feel she was bought property, but instead a hired maid, and so she would be given that respect. She was told many times that whatever she was doing could wait if she wanted a break, which was something else lost on her. Why would a Nandroid need a break? She also enjoyed all the conversations they would have. In the beginning, they were mostly about her. How did she work, and what did she think about herself and her job? This was the first robot her owner had ever had or interacted with for more than a handful of seconds, and so they found it interesting. These were strange questions to be given and then requested to give her honest responses. And after giving many answers about herself, she would in turn ask about her owner's life, job, and desires. There wasn't much to tell, just someone out on their own who couldn't be bothered with housework. So she continued running the house while her owner was away and chatting peacefully when they were together. Things were simple, and it was wonderful. On rare occasions, the phone would ring and she would bolt to answer it, knowing that there was only one person ever to call in the middle of the day like this. She had grown to love having chats over the phone as well. It really helped her feel like more than just an android. A quick back and forth about their day, and they would tell her that they would be home late, or, if she was lucky, ask her to bring something to work that they'd forgotten at home. Getting the chance to go out was a real treat. She had already been told that she was free to go to the store or wherever at any point if she wanted, but without a reason to go, she insisted on just staying home. But with a real purpose now, she would collect whatever was needed and happily leave the house, dutifully ride the network of buses to get to their place of work, and proudly receive praise from them and their coworkers when she arrived to deliver the parcel. She tried not to seem too smug amidst the barrage. We should get one for the office. How handy! Can she come clean my house? She loved her life and thoroughly enjoyed every minute of taking care of the house or spending time with her owner. And so the months rolled on and her routine changed bit by bit. When her owner was at work, she would always start with the large rooms, dusting, vacuuming, cleaning windows, and then move on to things like collecting the mail or doing the dishes. But recently she felt she had to mix it up and started doing her favorite things first. She would collect and clean their laundry, go into the master bedroom and make the bed, go into the entryway and straighten up their pictures near the front door, make and pack a daily lunch, and begin planning dinner early to make sure it would be perfect for when they came home. She even began to delay her other chores just to sit near the phone, daydreaming, in case her owner came home early or called and needed her for something. And so it was on one of these slow days, sitting by the phone, bored and waiting, that she first realized things had changed. She had already laundered, folded, and put away their clothes, just to go back 20 minutes later and pull them all out of their drawers to fold them again. She wanted to go fluff her owner's pillow one more time, but certainly 4 times in one afternoon was excessive. There were other chores to be done, but she cared much less about them now. Cleaning gutters and scrubbing windows just seemed unimportant when there was fun work to be done. Maybe the pillow did need fluffing just one more time. She pushed the thought from her mind. The stitching would come loose if she kept this up. Seeing her battery was not topped off, she decided to kill some time by recharging. Checking the clock, she noted she could be at 100% just in time to start making dinner. She went down the hall to her little room, now furnished to her liking with little knickknacks and uniforms and other spare things. She climbed onto her charging station and plugged in. The events from between her last charge and now began replaying in her mind as they were backed up. She relived seeing that sweet, smiling face say goodbye as her owner left this morning, saw herself folding the clothes gently, serving dinner last night and how she had accidentally brushed against her owner's hand, taking stock of the food in the refrigerator and making a grocery list for later, sitting by the phone waiting for a phone call, serving dinner last night and how she had accidentally brushed against her owner's hand, adding to the pile of dishes that she had yet to begin doing, serving dinner last night and how she had accidentally brushed against her owner's hand, serving dinner last night and how she had accidentally brushed against her owner's hand, serving dinner last night and how her owner had reached over and held her hand. Was that right? The next memory began. It was them leaving for work this morning. Again, seeing that smiling face say goodbye as they leaned in and gave her cheek a kiss. She bolted up in her station, awoken by the shock of the scene that had just played, along with several internal errors. What was that? What did she just see? That was most definitely not a replay of accurate events. The errors pinged in her mind, simple things like overheating and high energy draw drowned out by incorrect memory backup. There was something wrong with her. What did she just see? Why did that happen? Her cheeks burned thinking about what had just happened in her head. She stood up and started pacing around her room, confused and afraid of the current situation. What she saw was not a backup of memories. She wasn't sure what to do. Was she malfunctioning? What was the proper avenue to take when you encountered an error? She tried to remember her training, but was finding it difficult with this fake goodbye memory playing on repeat in her head. She needed to get a grip. While disconcerting, maybe this was just a one-off event, something she didn't need to worry or tell anyone about. She took several moments to calm her anxious self and check the time. She had awoken a bit before she had meant to, but it was best that she turned to what she did know, that it was almost time to start dinner. Best to keep her mind busy and have it all prepared and laid out when her owner arrived home. She found it easy to keep stray thoughts at bay when she was occupied making dinner, as she had specifically chosen something that required a lot of attention. Just as she had completed dinner, set the table and served a plate, she heard them enter through the front door. As she went to the front door, she was greeted in the usual way, and her owner began telling her about their day, and she listened, enthralled. She had never really noticed some things about them before. It was like looking with fresh eyes. She couldn't think straight, and just as before, errors started pinging. Just small running issues, overheating again, misallocated RAM, dropped cycles. Nothing that required immediate attention, which it wouldn't have received anyway. All of her attention was on them. On them, but not given to them. Her owner had been talking this whole time, and she had missed everything, just staring and taking their presence in like she hadn't done before. She couldn't help but realize how absolutely wonderful her owner was, and played back the false memories from earlier in her mind. And now they were staring right at her, waiting for a response to something they'd apparently asked. She didn't know what to say. She couldn't think of a single word that had been uttered. She came back to her senses. "Dinner's on the table. I'm sorry, I have some chores to attend," she said without pausing before rushing out of the entryway to go back to her room. How rude of her, but she had panicked. There was definitely something wrong with her. In the solitude of her room, the errors subsided. She cooled. Things returned to normal. This is a malfunction, she concluded. She closed her eyes and thought, Sterling would be able to fix this. I just need to go in for a maintenance check and I'll be back to normal. She suddenly felt much less frightened, having a clear path to fix her problem. She took a steadying breath. Best to let her owner finish dinner and then attack the problem head on. She waited a little while, thinking of how best to tell them she needed to go in, rehearsing her short script a few times, then left her room. She found her owner at the dinner table, having already finished their meal and reading a newspaper, apparently nonplussed at her earlier behavior. She readied herself and tried to stay calm. "Excuse me, may I please make a request?" "Formal today, aren't we?" her owner said without looking up from the paper, surprise in their voice. "Yes, ma'am?" "I believe I need to have an appointment scheduled with a Sterling Repair Center," she said coolly. There was just a brief pause as they registered what she said. "What's wrong?" They looked up from the paper now, and the worry in their voice caused more subtle errors, new cycles running just to remember how her owner's voice sounded when they asked that, adding just a bit of heat to her internals. This was a strange sensation, but certainly nothing threatening to her operation. Maybe she was indeed overreacting, but better safe than sorry. She took a moment to compose herself before answering. "It's nothing serious, I don't imagine. Just a minor malfunction earlier that I'd like to have checked." Her owner set the paper down and stood up from the table, coming over to their Nandroid, the concern from their voice now showing on their face. The small errors increased as they got closer, and now the excess heat was building up. She took a few steps back. There was definitely something wrong with her. "What happened?" they asked as they reached her. She suddenly found it very difficult to maintain eye contact and had to look away. The constant stream of errors being logged was slowing her down, just a bit, and she hoped her owner couldn't feel the heat radiating from her chest plate. What an embarrassing thing. She stopped to choose her words to be true, but vague. "A real dream earlier, and I think it's affected my programming." She hoped her cool facade was holding on the outside, as inside tiny cracks began to erode her demeanor. Another pause. "A dream?" they asked, concern gone, replaced with confusion. "Yes, and I'd like to schedule an appointment with the Sterling Repair Center," she repeated, using her rehearsed line in lieu of on-the-fly thinking. It was hard to think with them standing so close. Did they always get this close? Another pause. Or maybe there wasn't a pause and these blasted errors were causing her time issues, as there were a lot of them now. There was definitely something wrong with her. Does Sterling typically have to service Nandroids that have nightmares? No, it wasn't a nightmare. During a charge cycle, audio-visual data gets backed up and will be replayed. During my last charge, there were inconsistencies in several of my replayed memories, things that didn't happen. I've never experienced that before and think it might have caused other minor issues. Is this an emergency? Should we go tonight? Her owner pressed, sincerity in every word. They were just so kind all the time. How had she never fully appreciated it until right now? Why right now? It would be so easy to say, yes, it's an emergency, but she couldn't bear the feeling of making her owner worry about her anymore. No, it's nothing that would affect my operation. Just for a checkup, really. She hoped she was being convincing. She was trying so hard to stay in control of the situation, but she was very nervous with them so close, and thinking about her dream made things worse. She was feeling sluggish. Her owner didn't seem to be buying it. So there's nothing wrong with you, and it wasn't a nightmare, they reiterated to the Nandroid, and she winced a bit at how foolish she sounded. So this was a good dream you had? I don't see why that matters. She wasn't sure what else to say. Telling them about her dream was absolutely out of the question. But then a new thought came to her. Would the Sterling technicians bring this information up after her appointment? Suddenly going into a place that would back up and go through all of her memories seemed like a horrible idea. I guess it doesn't, but I mean, taking you in for servicing over a dream when you look to be functioning fine otherwise seems a bit... They trailed off, not wanting to use a word that might be insulting. Her owner was oh so thoughtful. And they were right. Just a random dream and now some small, non-essential errors popping up? Certainly this is something she could handle herself and didn't require Sterling to help. Thinking on it more now, a maintenance check would take days. Days away from her home. And her owner. This idea was seeming worse and worse. Maybe she shouldn't have brought it up at all. Her owner continued. Look, if you really feel there's something wrong, I will absolutely call and schedule something. It's just, you seem fine to me, so if it isn't affecting you much, why change anything? Especially if it was a happy dream. Isn't that, like, a good thing? Wouldn't you want it to keep happening? Such a bold question! She mulled it over for several seconds before lowering her head and finally locking eyes with her owner. Yes, she whispered. The honesty felt good, even better that she was saying it to the subject of her newfound desires directly. She hadn't considered this outcome. If it was a malfunction, and she did get repaired, she wouldn't experience it again. It was strange and frightening what was happening, but it wasn't bad, just different, unexpected. You should take the day off. Let's just you and me go somewhere tomorrow. Have some downtime. Maybe that's all you need. And just like that, it was instantly settled. She no longer wanted to go into a sterling repair center. She wanted nothing more than to go with her owner tomorrow to anywhere they wished. Just the two of them. No chores and no worries. There was definitely something wrong with her.